What's up, traders? I just want to make this quick video to show you a possible way to make 8% if you're going for a challenge or you just want to try to make 8% in a month. I want to go over a few of the setups, the thought process behind some of them, and how to manage risk on a few of them. So right here, they're all going to be on the 15-minute and then one on the 5-minute, I believe. We have Forex pairs here, EJ, a new low day like you've seen me take plenty of times, where that just confirms my bias that we're still moving lower. There's no short-term trend against me. We just made a new low. I'm looking for a retest to that Asia range low, which we get. And we get 3 B signals that day, all at that same price, telling me this is the price to want to sell it at. We have a perfect L50. We moved lower from yesterday. So I'm just taking it short. You can see you get 30 minutes. You're definitely getting 1R out of that. Probably 2R in the next hour of just pain-free, all in your direction, all outside the 8 and the 21. Now we go to this EJ. Here's the 5-minute, but it's the same rules apply. I'm looking for structure, a good L50 on the 15-minute, a new high of day, retest to yesterday's high and Asia range high, a little bit in between, but you can see I have a reasonable stop below my key level of Asia range high. So if it wants to pull back a little bit more and hold that, I should survive. It doesn't need to do that. Again, these are the 5-minute candles. So in 15 minutes, you're probably at 1R, maybe 20 minutes, pain-free, all in your direction because you're getting that best price. And I'm just riding the previous structure, which is higher highs, higher lows. I just want to ride that. I'm not going to try to turn and say this is where we turn short and we're going to fall. No, if it was making lower highs, lower lows, then I'd look for shorts. Maybe somewhere here in the morning. But since we're making higher highs, a new high of day, above yesterday's high, I'm sure on this the daily is also bullish, and it just makes another new high of day. Now this is the short version of it. We below yesterday's low. We're making lower highs, lower lows today. Small new low day, first pullback, and first 15-minute day too. So I wouldn't want this one, how we're still inside the Asia range right here. But then we get a new low, retest, and you can see where I have the gap here. I actually wait about 45 minutes, see it hold this 21, see it hold this level. There's no VWAP on my charts yet. This is a little bit ago, a few months ago before the VWAP, but it still stands true. I'm sure if we put a VWAP on here, it goes right through this price action and holds these levels quite nicely. But you can see I'm still able to get in about 45 minutes late, a slightly worse price, but in my mind, it's a little bit more confirming of, okay, we're not moving higher since then. We're closing back below the 21. Let me get in now. So you could also do that on some of these plays if price hasn't left the station. I'm not going to try to sell it down here after this 5 candle formation, we'll call it, because now it's too low. The stop loss is too high, all that. You'd have to tighten it X, Y, and Z. But for this A2 specifically, you could definitely get in 45 minutes late when price hasn't left if you still like the bias. And you can see it gets to low of day, slightly chops around. I'm sure 1R is in this bar or the next one. What do I have here? 75% off of 1R. So probably down here. But you just sit through the hold of the EMA because it still looks bearish. You don't want to take it long, so you just ride through. This is ECAD. If you guys remember this one, probably the one and only time I've done this in recent memory. Lower highs, lower lows. We're below yesterday's low, right? It's like repeating myself, but that's what good trades are. Another new low day. First pullback to yesterday's low this time, but still my favorite level. Asia range highs up there. I bumped the stop just to that previous structure. If I can take that out, then we're no longer making lower highs. Do I want to be short? And now you can see this is probably the first market when I have the blue VWAP. It's now black, but it's the same idea. Stop loss above that, giving me some protection. I like the pullback. And you can see this is at 9:30 on Friday the 2nd. So this was an NFP day. So I found a trade on NFP and a Friday. So this big bar here pushing us down in the direction of my trend is on NFP. Now we're pulling back just to get me a better price. And you sell it off. And you got 2 A signals earlier. I remember I wanted to sell it potentially here on that day, and then maybe even that A2. But again, that's right into NFP. I cannot take that. So thankfully, I was able to get another entry opportunity after NFP. I take it to about 2R, I believe. Do I have it here in the notes? I'm not sure. But I definitely don't get this whole 4.5 rip. But just look at all go outside the 8 EMA because you're getting in trend with your bias all outside the 8 EMA at the best high price. So perfect L50, full trend EMAs, just a clean setup. I like this one, just the steps it's making after this clear kind of support here, just chopping around. It is EN, not the best pair. Probably the one and only time I've maybe traded it recently. But another new high. Retest to yesterday's high. Stop loss is at this Asia range high. If it pulls back there, it might take me out, but then I can get right back in at a lower price. In this case, it doesn't. Stop loss is below this structure as well, so that's pretty good. Again, right in your direction with a pin holding that zone, that's a good sign. This is a good A2 if it goes immediately in your favor, if you're trading it off a level. If not, you might have to suffer some pullback. But again, this looks like about 45 minutes to an hour. You're at 1R. It's just clear. This GA, another new high a day. You could argue, and I would argue, this would be the first pullback if it somewhat gave like an A2 in there. But it chops around, holds it, and then you get an A2. But I still think it looks very bullish the whole day. We're making higher highs, higher lows above yesterday's high. Perfect L50. I'm off my level. Stop loss is kind of floating, we'll say, just because it's not off anything. But it does stop me out. You take losses as well. It's obviously going to happen. And you can see, since that stop loss is floating, it stops me out, just makes a higher low on the bottom, and comes back higher. So that's just a tough loss. Maybe you can get back in on a 2 candle here when it shifts back up a little bit higher than that price. That's later in the session for me, but you do take losses, but you're still following the same idea. If you could just take these 10 times, is it going to win 2 times? No, it's probably going to win 7 or 8. So you can still want to be in it. This one, this is the NFP one we just did. We don't need that one. This GJ, this is now not an A2, but it's what I'm incorporating into my trading more and more now. I'm just trying to get the best price. As you hear me say, I want to buy it off yesterday's high. I want to buy it off Asia range high. Well, what if there is no A2? Does that mean I can't still buy it off that Asia range high? Because I know it probably wants to bounce higher off of that. So we got this consolidation period. I'm long biased, but we're kind of just trapped inside, so I don't want nothing to do with it. Then we finally break for a new high day above yesterday's price action, confirming the long bias. L50 swapped, but it's holding that buy zone more than the sell zone for sure. You get a new high day, pull back to yesterday's high, but you can see no way to. It actually closes the 21 pretty strongly, but you could still buy it there at that zone, giving you a stop loss well below Asia range high that you could probably pull it early if it breaks that. And again, right in your favor. 40. It's all bullish bars after that because you're getting the best price. It shouldn't want to pull back anymore. You're trading at the lowest price for the pullback, and you get another nice new high of day. This one on GU. This one's maybe getting a little too cute with it. This is, I believe, the daily's involved with this chart. I don't have it pulled up on here, but the daily is bearish overall, and I'm trying to call the pullback day to take it back bullish today, maybe temporarily, because we're making higher highs, higher lows. We didn't take out yesterday's low, so we're not continuing lower. Can I want to take it bullish to the higher time frame against the trend? Get a new high day, retest to my Asia range high again, like we just mentioned. But you could see that maybe it didn't make a new clear, strong new high day. That's not great. L50 has been more bearish than it has been bullish. That's not great. And it is counter trend, where those other ones we were clearly riding the ultimate structure, and this one extremely wrong on my bias in terms of it just makes another strong new low day in trend, but it was above the VWAP that whole morning. It's still not a terrible trade, but it's just not as clean as those other ones we just looked at, right? Where this one, we're following the wave down. We're making lower highs, lower lows. Let me get in short. This one, the previous day, lower highs, lower lows. Let's try to find a short, maybe up in here. On a pullback, there's like a 2 candle there, stuff like that. But now on SPX, small new low of day. First pullback to yesterday's low and Asia range low. I like when those two can lay over each other and just give me that double confirmation of that's a good price and a good zone. I don't have to worry about 2 separate ones. It's pretty much the same price. A2, this bar starts off bullish. You might get scared that it's going to stop you out immediately. Holds the VWAP, ultimately closes bearish, and you get your 1R probably in the next 30 minutes. If these are 15-minute candles, you're getting it in 15 to 30. All in your direction. Little sweat in the beginning, but you just hold through with your stop. And just a nice trade, perfect L50 with the structure. New low a day, but if you just try to hold it forever, it comes back up by the end of the session and you get nothing out of it. If you don't close anything at 4 or 5R, then you're just getting greedy. But the ultimate lesson here is I'm just trying to get a small piece of these moves. So I don't need to swing for 10R or nothing. I get 1, 2, 3R. Great, I'll come back tomorrow and do it again. Now this one on EA, you can see the daily's coming into play now a little bit. We get another new high a day. Pullback, A2, off the Asia range. L50 really at reset. It's not great, but that's only because down here on the daily, bearish since the shift, but kind of slowing down. It can't really move lower. It's kind of overextended. Maybe we want to see a bullish pullback to the 8 or ultimately the 21 in a little bit. So that's what would feed these longs. Since they're not in ultimate trend, that would be bearish for the past few weeks. That could feed you to want to long it today, since what did it just do? It made a new high of day. That's not very bearish. That's clearly bullish. So then you get 45 minutes to an hour. You get 1R. You can see here, this is 1.5R, all I need. This was the last trade that I took to pass that challenge. So if I did need 3R out of it, I wouldn't have gotten it. But in this case, I don't need it. I need 1.5R. So I didn't need to catch this whole move. And it's just a nice, maybe that's why I was willing to trade this counter, because I just needed a little bit left to pass the challenge. So let me get in this with some risk and try to hold it to 1.5R full size. And we get it. So I think the lesson is just, I take some losses. I take some counter trend moves, we'll call them. But I'm not going against the structure. At the end of the day, I'm always going to be looking to ride with the structure to the left. I'm not forecasting we're just going to turn here and completely change sentiment. No, that's not the way I trade. I like to ride what the sentiment has been telling me and try to pick my spot on a pullback. And then we continue some more in that ultimate direction, rather than we're making higher highs, higher lows. Let me sell it up here because I think this is when we turn and get a big move down. Some people do that. That's fine. I'm not trading like that. I trade with the trend as much as I can, with the structure, with a good L50. But at the end of the day, they're all going to be off a key level. If I take something way up here, it might happen. It probably does happen. It's just not how I want to be trading. So then something slipped up. Maybe I was feeling some FOMO, some greed, some looseness on my rules, whatever it may be. But that's what we need to keep in check. Make sure we don't take as many of those as we do of these trades. Right off a level, new high day, all that. And you can see it's not that many trades with the proper risk management, cutting your losses early. And you can see on this one, I actually tightened the stop. But anyways, cutting your losses early, holding on to your wins to maybe 1, 1.5, 2R, depending on how big your losses are, depending on how many trades you find, right? I don't need 50 trades. Maybe I just need 20 with a little bit more size and hold them to like 1.2R, rather than take 50 trades with small risk because I'm afraid to take a loss, whatever it may be, and a lower win rate. So I'm going to need 50 trades. No, I'll want to find the best setups, have a higher win rate, just go for 1R and just snag them away, chop away through time. You don't need to just try to bang it out in 1 week, 2 weeks. If I can make 2% a month, 4%, 6%, up and up, that's all great. But 2% to 4% a month is fantastic for any trader. Just so if you can make 8% in a month, 60 days, whatever it is, that's a very, very good P&L. So hopefully just seeing these type of trades of, they're all off a key level. So again, I've said in the previous videos, I don't want you to exactly trade my setups unless you want to. Of course, you can watch me on ASFX TV and see me take these kind of setups. But the lesson is just to find what your best setup is. Austin's on the 1 minute doing VWAP stuff. James is on the 5 minute and the 15 minute doing A1s. I like the 15 minute and some 5 minute A2s. So like we're all a little bit different. Tom trades some reversion, but ultimately on the 15 minute with me on some Forex pairs. So it's just find your niche. What trade setup do you want to take consistently? Not just, I'm going to take that trade. I'm also going to trade that strategy. And like James on the 5, then you're just, it's tough to find consistency and follow your stats of what is my best setup when none of them look alike. So just find trades that look alike, have commonalities, similar variables, and you'll find a lot more success to make 4 to 8% a month if that's what you want.